The momentum of these protests has spread through France. Students are now protesting their own grievances, with Macron clashing with the police in several cities, including Lyon, Marseille and Bordeaux. Today, a new video has emerged of the collective arrest of high school students in Mantes-la-Jolie on Thursday. They're shown on their knees with their hands behind their heads as police in riot gear look on. Well, to discuss this with me in the studio is Alistair Sanford. Alistair, can you give us a little bit of context about this video?
Yes, we've seen just a very short part of that video, but obviously the imagery is what has shocked people. Mass arrests of young people kneeling down with their hands behind their heads, police standing over them with riot shields. At one point on part of the video, we can hear somebody mocking the youngsters. Now, where does it come from? Our partners at Storyful, who investigate the source of videos like this, say they haven't confirmed that source, but other journalists have captured the same scene from a distance. And I've seen photos on the AFP news agency showing people being brought in a very similar scene, but from further away. Also, the local news website, Mont Actu, has a video of the scene, again, from a little bit further away. We've contacted the police in Mantes-la-Jolie, which is a town out to the west of Paris. They're not commenting for the moment, but officials say that some 150 teenagers were held, although most were released just afterwards. Now, there have been student protests developing, as we've said, across France over the last few days, leading to clashes in the streets. Mantes-la-Jolie was no exception. The tension had been building for several days. And what it seems happened yesterday is that the police headed off the trouble, effectively. There are two high schools some 500 metres apart, and they put in place some sort of pincer movement, which headed off the trouble. Incidentally, they say that a lot of the youngsters are not from those high schools, but come from elsewhere, or at least they've been quoted as saying that. And in the aftermath of that, well, many dozens were released, but several more were taken into custody and some have been charged.
Well, as we were saying, these kind of pictures have caused a fair amount of outrage. What has the reaction been to them? Yes,
it's been widely shared on social media and lots of comments saying this is outrageous. The socialist leader has condemned it, as have the France Insoumise, which is the left-wing movement, France Unbowed. Its head is Jean-Luc Mélenchon, of course. They all say that it's unacceptable and humiliating for these youngsters. It's not what the Republic is about. There's been a staunch defence from the prefect of the department, the Yvelines, saying these are powerful images, but no one was injured. How else can 70 officers contain hundreds of youngsters? I don't know any other methods, and he'd asked the police to intervene calmly, which he says is what they did. Overall, of course, across France, there were 700 arrests yesterday as high school students came out all over the country. Nominally, their protest is about not connected to the yellow vests. It's about exam reforms. But as we know, of course, this is all inflated into a general anti-government, almost an insurrection.